Remember how neighborhoods can have concentrations of particular people, particular groups of people, particular ethnicities or linguistic groups or cultural groups? Things like Chinatown, Little Italy, Little Saigon, Cambodia Town, Little Phnom Penh, Little Tokyo, Little India. Have you heard of these types of places? We have lots of these in Southern California, and most major cities in the United States do indeed have things like this. In fact, throughout the world, not just in American cities, there are versions of this. What we call these things are ethnic enclaves. These are places where a particular ethnic group, usually first or second generation immigrants, and or the same ethnic group flowing into this particular ethnic enclave over multiple generations, reside. Why do they live there? Because it allows for an easier landing in the new country. In the case of what I'm talking about right now, that would be the United States. Because there will then be linguistic similarities, religious similarities, cultural similarities, food similarities. And you're probably aware that many of these places attract people who are not of that particular ethnic group. People go there for these cultural activities, for the food, for the music, to immerse themselves almost in an international experience while remaining in their own country. And so in a lot of cases, these things become kind of tourist attractions. You're probably aware that the Chinatown in San Francisco, the Chinatown in New York, right? These are classic versions of tourist attractions that are ethnic enclaves. Little Italy in New York, classic version of this as well. This is Chinatown in New York City. And you can see in the upper left-hand side, both Bayard and Mott Street have Chinese characters on them. And this is an important thing because it allows the people who are coming in to assimilate and flow into the dominant society in an easier way. And you can see on the right-hand side, lots and lots of signs written in Chinese. Now, many of our Chinese immigrants in the United States come from the southern part of China. I read a statistic not long ago that said that the majority of overseas Chinese actually speak Cantonese, not Mandarin, because they come from the southern part of China. And that allows people from Hong Kong to, interestingly enough, have a very strong connection with people who live in Chinatowns all over the world, but particularly in the United States. This is Little Italy in New York City, which is right next to Chinatown. In fact, as Chinatown has grown, Little Italy has kind of shrunk. And in fact, many of the people who originally lived in Little Italy, and I mentioned this before, if you just go back and watch the Godfather scenes from when Robert De Niro is playing the character that eventually Marlon Brando plays, but Marlon Brando's older, Robert De Niro's younger, so it's the earlier scenes in his life when he immigrates to New York City. This is the area that he's in. He's in this area of the southern part of Manhattan Island that's called Little Italy. But many of the Italians, as the Chinese population began to grow, moved out into the Bronx in a place called Arthur Avenue. I will tell you a very quick story. A friend of mine who is Italian extraction, his family's from New York City, used to joke about how when he was a kid and he would visit his family and he would go out to Arthur Avenue to buy raviolis, cars would sometimes pull up, big cars. There would be a driver. The driver would stop the car, double park on the street, keep the car parked there, keep the car running, open the door for the person in the backseat who would then go in and eat his entire lunch while the car was double parked, and then come out, get back in the car, and drive away. And nobody said anything about it. I wonder why. And then, of course, in Southern California, we have the very famous Little Saigon, which is in Westminster and Garden Grove. Lots of businesses that cater to our Vietnamese community. In Artesia, not far from where I live, Little India, which caters to the South Asian population. It's not just literally Indian, but Pakistani, Bangladeshi. You can get the food there, you can get the clothing there, you can shop in the supermarkets there. This is the idea of an ethnic enclave, that it makes it an easier adjustment for these new immigrants coming into a country.